Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple has put out a document called The Last Mile Playbook for Global Payments. It's what's on your screen right now. And it's fairly lengthy, so it's not like it'd be nonsensical and probably a bit boring to cover the entire thing, but there are certainly some tasty little tidbits in here that I want to share with you, which ultimately led to this article, which was released today from dailyhodl.com. And they titled it, Ripple Reveals Which Countries Really Support Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP in Key Remittance Markets. So I'm going to run through this. I also want to talk a little bit about an incredible interview that my fellow XRP YouTuber, a digital asset investor, did with Greg Kidd, who is one of Ripple's first 10 employees. It was really something, and I'm sure that many of you listening to me right now have already checked it out, but I got a few things I'm going to share with you regarding that and a couple of opinions. And beyond that, though, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to check it out. It was awesome. I was listening to it earlier today as I was walking my pet peeve at a local park. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And also, if you're a fan of Ripple-created documents, such as the one that we're going to be covering a bit here today, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. Because why the hell not? It's free, man. Come on. Just consider it at least. So anyway, Ripple has released an extensive overview on digital asset regulations around the world in a 2020 report called The Last Mile Playbook. The San Francisco payment startup offers a look at the extent to which countries in key remittance markets support crypto assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Now, part of the reason that I was really eager to dig into this as soon as I saw the headline and found out Ripple made this piece here is because you can actually take a look at the way that Ripple's perceiving government... That's not how you start saying that word. You can see how Ripple perceives governments around the world, and effectively where they stand on digital currencies, specifically XRP, because it's complete as far as adoption goes with XRP and on-demand liquidity, rather dependent on governments being friendly around the world, allowing such adoption here. And as I run through this, you will see, and it paints a really clear picture here, that one of the biggest bottlenecks, if not the biggest, comes down to regulatory clarity. Now, of course, there are other things that have to be in place for on-demand liquidity to work, including there has to be actual liquidity, which means you have to have sufficient on-demand liquidity partners, exchange partners, where the buying and selling of XRP can actually functionally take place. So there's other things too, but from a regulatory perspective, yeah. And then there's that whole thing of just pitching this to customers that should be using it. Because, it's hard. And I remember thinking back to one of the first videos I ever saw right after I entered the world of crypto. And Brad Garlinghouse, I think it was Brad Garlinghouse, he was talking about how just getting that very first customer, the tremendous struggle, because nobody wants to be the first and nobody wants to be the last. You come out and, because think about pitching that to middle management. Here we've got this thing, it hasn't been done before, it's completely revolutionary, and if you're the person that's getting pitched, and if you're middle management, it's like, well, if it goes well, I don't know that this will necessarily benefit me personally. And if it doesn't go well, I might lose my job. So it's a tough sell, Now, if you get to speak with somebody higher up, okay, maybe in theory it could be a little bit easier, but this is kind of the nature of sales, outside sales work here. But, once you get the ball rolling, there is such a thing as a network effect, which ultimately makes things, ideally anyway, a little bit easier. But here's a quote from the piece. Today, countries around the world are addressing the frictions inherent in the last mile by upgrading and modernizing their domestic payment schemes. Out of 195 countries, there are now over 54 real-time payment schemes developed and many more in development globally. These new systems enable real-time settlement of low-value payments and rich data transfer. Yep, which was absolutely impossible prior to Ripple entering the space. It really was. And because think about the messaging, both the messaging and the settlement, no. It was just Swift, and it didn't really have any challengers until within the last decade Ripple came along. Now, in the U.S., Ripple highlights the fact that the Commodity Futures Trading Commission has officially declared that Bitcoin is a commodity. In addition, the agency's current chairman, Heath Tarbert, has said he believes Ethereum is a commodity as well. Ripple has met with regulators around the world in an effort to drive adoption of XRP in the world of cross-border payments. After working directly with central banks and lawmakers, including a recent virtual meeting with Banco Central do Brasil, which I reported on just the other day, here's a look at the company's take on the global regulation of cryptocurrency. Now, they go nation by nation. They listed a number of them here. I'm not going to go through all of them because that would be overkill, but there are a few that I do want to highlight, especially ones that are in key corridors. And if you want to check out the rest, just go to dailyhodl.com. You can easily find the piece here. But here's what they have to say about the United States. Man, words are hard today. What is going on? Legal status of a token or coin dependent on its individual characteristics, which determines whether existing regulations apply, i.e., does the token confer rights and is it a security? CFTC has ruled that Bitcoin and other digital assets are commodities. Exchanges must register with FinCEN as a money service business, obtain money transmission licenses from certain states, and BitLicense if services touch New York. Because New York is very special, and they wanted to be extra annoying if you want to do business in their state. Go New York! Financial institutions treat the decision... That was the part I added, by the way. Financial institutions treat the decision to engage in digital asset activity as a risk-based analysis. Not terribly surprising. That's about what we already knew, right? Now, Mexico, this is interesting because XRP is indeed cited here in Ripple's paper. And they write, XRP is considered a virtual asset that is freely tradable by non-financial institutions. Financial institutions must obtain approval from the central bank to transact in a particular virtual asset, and even then may only do so for internal purposes. Exchanges must meet specific guidance on AML requirements. Certain activities that rely on traditional banking rails may be viewed as requiring authorization under newly adopted laws, e.g. providing custody of fiat currency. So thankfully in this corridor, Ripple, because look, Ripple does not launch new corridors unless they have all of their ducks in a row, because the last thing they'd ever allow to happen is to launch a brand new corridor, start conducting on-demand liquidity transactions, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, and then the government's like, whoa, what are you doing there? Back the F word up, because we're shutting you down. That's the last thing Ripple would want. So there has to be, a certain level of certainty. And that's why I'm always so happy that Ripple is being the adult in the room, and they're actually going out there and speaking to every government around the world where they want to do business, and every central bank. It's awesome stuff here. Next, we do have Australia here, where there is an on-demand liquidity corridor, and of course, there's BTC Markets. That's the cryptocurrency exchange there. Legal status of a token or coin dependent on its individual characteristics, which determines whether existing regulations apply, i.e., does the token confer rights and is it a financial product? So cryptocurrency exchanges must register with AUSTRAC, the local financial crimes regulator. So there you go. So this is part of it here. When you're talking about KYC and AML, which is Know Your Customer, and anti-money laundering concerns, cryptocurrency exchanges are already being regulated there sufficiently, and that's in part the reason that Ripple was able to actually launch that corridor here. So very cool stuff here. Next, let's go ahead and jump into this now. So here's Greg Kidd. I just went ahead and pulled up his LinkedIn profile. And this is one heck of a guy. I knew the name because it's just being in the world of crypto and the XRP community for the last 2.5 years roughly. The name comes up. I didn't really know a whole lot about him. If I had ever read anything about him, then I guess I'm just not recalling it at this point. But this is one impressive individual here. So check this out. As far as education here, let's see, he went to Brown University. He then he went to Yale University for his MBA, and then he got his Master's of Public Administration at Harvard, and then, and this I actually don't know what it is. I mean, I know it's Stanford University, so he went to Stanford in 2009, 2010. It says no degree, human-computer interface. So I don't know if that's some sort of certification. I personally have not come across that type of thing on a resume or a LinkedIn profile before, so I'm not sure. But regardless, you've probably heard of all four of these organizations here. these educational organizations, right? Rather something. So that'll give you an idea of the caliber of person that you're talking about here. And so, in speaking, digital asset investor, my fellow XRP YouTuber, speaking with Greg Kidd during this interview, I will tell you that Greg Kidd came across as a rather sharp, articulate individual who certainly knows his stuff. Now, he had gotten to the point where, he didn't need to work anymore. If you go to the top right now, what he's doing now, it says from 2010 to present, he was co-founder of Hard Yaka, which makes early round investments in exchange space startups. Candidates are either verticals in particular categories of exchange markets or horizontals, providing, i.e. messaging or payments, across exchange sectors. Portfolio includes Shift, Ripple, GateHub, Stockpile, LedgerX, TradeBlock, BlockScore, Marqeta, and it just goes on, and Coinbase is in there too. And so you kind of get the idea as far as making investments. So when he found out about Ripple, he approached them, decided that he wanted to work there, but he did not need a job, which is genuinely fascinating. And you can see here he was the chief risk officer from 2013 to 2015. And if you look at his background, it kind of makes sense. You can see here from 2002 to 2004, he was a senior analyst with the Federal Reserve Board. So if this is kind of getting you an idea for the type of person, it's really something here. And he kind of gets the big picture. And so, again, I'm going to share with you a few things from the video, just kind of quotes and stuff that Digital Asset Investor put out. But if you haven't seen this, I still strongly encourage you to actually check out this video. The video is like 35 minutes, but the interview portions, I want to say like 26 minutes or so. Definitely worth it. And so here's a tweet from Digital Asset Investor. Are you saying that a lot of the Nostro money one day is going to be in XRP? And Greg's response is, it's going to be replaced by XRP. Ripple's done some of those calculations that would create amazing practical demand for XRP all around the world. #0doubt. Now that's certainly true. Now the way that he worded it, though, when you're talking about, okay, so XRP is replacing Nostro, got it, totally. But is it going to be replaced on a one-to-one basis, $1 to the next? Well, here's the interesting thing that I do want you to keep in mind, and this is a positive. All of the money that's in Nostro does not need to flow into on-demand liquidity specifically. First of all, XRP is so fast that you don't need to have as much money tied up. Second of all, which is awesome, and then second of all, in terms of being able to conduct these transactions, you need to have a sufficient blend of price and liquidity. And so, as far as price, the amount of dollars needed to go when to enter, the XRP ecosystem to push the price of XRP up. I'll tell you what, when you're entering a price discovery phase, the net inflow of cash required to make tremendous gains in the positive in terms of actual XRP price action, you don't need to put in nearly as many dollars to get whatever market cap you might be envisioning here. Which is always fascinating. So that's why people, if they see, like, say there was a $1 trillion market cap, some people are like, oh, that's just outrageous. And they have this idea that that's like $1 trillion actually went in there. No. That's absolutely not the case. People are paying more for these assets than the person that they're buying them from paid. Generally speaking, right? I mean, some people sell at a loss, but you get what I'm saying, right? And that happens, and some people pay so much more, and you get these inflated prices, or inflated market caps, rather, as a result. But it doesn't mean that much money is flowing in. And so, absolutely, what Greg Kidd said is right. But I just wanted to be clear: it's not that all those dollars have to flow into XRP. That's not going to happen, and it's not necessary to happen, which is quite the positive. Next. Here's another quote from Greg Kidd: "The XRP escrow is like a central bank," and I like this. So I'm not a down with the banks, down with the government type of guy. I generally speaking, when it comes to companies, don't have a bunch of trust issues. I mean, some people can abuse the positions that they're in, I get that. But then when it's found out, typically there's a kickback from consumers, and they don't really care for it, and so you can harm your brand anyway. But I don't, generally speaking, like some of these early Bitcoin maxi anarchists, I don't have these trust issues here. And so what he was talking about here, the idea of Ripple being a central bank, what he was talking about in this interview, and it was interesting, he was talking about just kind of like how the Federal Reserve, they've got their gold holdings, and they hold it, and they don't want to just flood the market, because you can imagine what that do in terms of price action. And he kind of equated Ripple to that with XRP, because they do have such tremendous holdings. They wouldn't want to ruin this. They're very long-term oriented. And so He just noted that it's being doled out in a responsible fashion, and Ripple has a decades-long plan to get it out, so the rest of the XRP out into the ecosystem. So it's all being done in a measured, reasonable pace, and I think that's fantastic. All right, next one. This is the last one here from Digital Asset Investor. He tweeted out, "It's not just the chips at the poker table. Ripple built the casino and the window. If Bitcoin was 1.0, Ripple looked like 2.0. Hashtag zero doubt." And I thought that was a cool way to wrap up the video. That is it for this one, though. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!